What's up, y'all? Guess who spent 7 days in the Galapagos getting up close and personal with wildlife? Me, and I had a ball. So first things first, you're going to need a controlled transit card in order to get to the Galapagos Islands. It costs about 20 USD and it's a pretty simple process. You're also going to need to go through additional screening, so if you're leaving from Quito, plan accordingly. I was really fortunate to take this trip with 7 other incredible Black travel content creators with their own niche. Needless to say, a special shout out goes to the Black Travel Alliance, Hurtigruten Expeditions, and Metropolitan Tours for curating this unforgettable Galapagos experience. All right, so you already know that I was super excited to be on this flight. The flight was somewhere around 2.5 hours with a brief stop in Guayaquil. When we finally arrived in the Galapagos, I was so excited. We landed on Baltra Island at the first ecological airport in the world. We went through some additional screening before meeting up with the Hurtigruten crew. The crew ushered us directly from our waiting area in the airport to a bus that took us directly to the dock. Once we made it to the dock, we gathered our belongings and we got on the Zodiac or dinghy boat that took us to the actual ship. So, one thing to note when you're cruising the Galapagos Islands is that the actual cruise ship never docks close to shore. As a result, for each outing, we would take this smaller Zodiac boat to shore and then back to the ship. Our arrival to our cruise ship, Santa Cruz 2, was seamless. We were given a welcome drink and then went straight to the first floor to get our room assignments. The crew helped us with our bags and we got our first look at our gorgeous rooms. Once we arrived, we literally hit the ground running. I had just enough time to take a couple selfies in the room and then go straight downstairs to the Zodiac for our very first excursion. Oh wait, let me back up. First we had lunch and then we got on the Zodiac. Our first stop was to the white sand beaches of Mosquera Island, a small volcanic island between North Seymour and Baltra Island. Now from the smiles you see on board, this moment was incredible. This was the beginning of 7 days and we were so excited. Like, look at that water, look at that sand, and then most importantly, look at those sea lions. They were everywhere. So we got off the boat one by one and individually started to explore. The sea lions, this was their territory and they let it be known. We were all standing around watching, gazing, taking pictures, and they just kept doing their thing. Throughout our entire week on the Galapagos, we were assigned an amazing tour guide who was so knowledgeable about the Galapagos Islands and each species that lived there. And look, let me tell you guys right now, I could not take enough selfies simply because I was just in awe at the fact that I was there. This was one of those times where you just have to be absolutely present. And let me also add that the crew that I was with was just as excited, and that made it so much better. We hung around the island for a while and just watched the sunset. It was so beautiful seeing the sunset in the west and the moon rise in the east. It was all surreal. What I thought was pretty cool was that the sea lions were pretty playful. Even though we were told to keep away from them, they would not keep away from us. They were extremely playful and they especially loved playing with Tamiko. So before it got too dark, we got back to the Zodiac so we can get back to the ship. Of course, there were some sea lions that saw us leaving and thought they could leave with us, but no guys, see y'all later. So we boarded our Zodiac and sailed back to the ship, still watching the beautiful sunset. Once we were back on the boat, we got some happy hour bites and then a briefing for the activities for the next day. The next day started out pretty early, so I was up at about 6 a.m. My water shoes were still a little bit damp from the day before, and they smelled a funky mess. I tried to dry them out with the hairdryer, and it did all right. After our 7 a.m. breakfast, we hopped on another Zodiac and headed off to Galapagos on San Cristobal Island. Now listen, the purpose of this hike was to see the giant tortoises that are endemic to this specific island. We learned a lot about the island from our guide and had a lot of fun along the way. It was dope to see these big ass tortoises, I'm not gonna lie, but the trek to get there and to get back was grueling. When we finally reached the point to turn around, there were so many tortoises just chilling in the cut. It was so cool and well worth the trek. So, of course, we chilled for a while, took some pictures, walked around, and just kind of enjoyed the fact that we just walked 3 miles to see 10 giant tortoises. I even had my own little adventure photo shoot, couldn't tell me nothing. I got my waterproof clothes from Amazon. The links are down below if you want to buy some as well. And then we started our journey back. Now, this is where we messed up. Somehow, Tamika and I got so far behind that we ended up in a different group. By the time we caught up with everyone, we were pretty much done. Mind you, it was not even 12 noon yet, and everyone was exhausted. It was worth it, but we were tired. We made it back to the beach, hopped on a Zodiac, and went back to the ship. Once back on the ship, I left my shoes on the deck to dry and went straight to my room for a shower and then straight to the bar for a drink. After lunch, we ventured out to the San Cristobal city center. Now, this excursion was particularly exciting because I had no idea that there was a whole town in the midst of the Galapagos. From the dock, we took a 40-minute bus ride to the Center for the Conservation of Giant Tortoises. After our guide shared some information about the center, we asked for a little break to go and enjoy the town a little bit. Based on the hike we had that morning, we definitely deserved an opportunity to sit back, chill, people watch, and of course, get us some really good drinks.
Dang, that's your light right look. That's your light right there. Woo!
Y'all, I just love us. Anyway, we had a ball and made it back to the dock with just a few minutes to spare. The next day, I was up at the crack of dawn trying to dry the funk out of my shoes. This was now day 3 of our cruise, and we were on the way to Santa Fe Island to see the endemic land iguana. The hike was much easier than the day before, and the views were so beautiful. The sea lions were out minding their business as usual, and Tamiko and I decided that we were going to manifest a great day. We're going to keep up with the group, with our own group.
We're gonna do better today.
And we did. We learned a little bit about the cacti on the island, and we were able to just walk around and try to find the land iguanas. These jokers were big. Our resident photographer, Rick on the Run, was in his element and took so many dope pictures. We only had a short amount of time on this island as you have to leave by 10 a.m., so we headed back to the shore and then got back on our Zodiac and headed back to the ship. Since it was still pretty early in the day, there was still another activity for us to do before lunch. We returned to the bay area of the same island we were at earlier that morning and went snorkeling. So one thing to note here is the water is super clear. This trip took place around late October, early November, so the water was super clear. If you're a big diver or a snorkeler, this is the best time to go.
Oh, there's a turtle over there. Let me see. Okay.
This was such an exciting experience. Not only was the water crystal clear, but there was so much to see. Now, I admit I wasn't the best cameraman, but do you see those sea lions? They were everywhere. It was so dope to watch, but y'all, I had to keep my distance. Those things were really, really playful and really, really wild.
You hear that damn noise? I'm out. Look at this.
All these sea lions.
You know how black people do when it's a gunshot. That's how you act. You like running and yeah. Lord have mercy, Jesus.
I mean,
just dropped out the water. He's coming over here. You see him? Hold on. Where he go? God. Hold on. Let me put him out.
See, y'all, I was not playing with them. And with that blow-up life vest that we had on, I could not move fast enough. And now, as you can tell from the laughter, Tamiko and I had a great time because neither one of us are strong swimmers, but we were enjoying the experience.
My husband ain't gonna believe this. Baby.
Now, I can't even tell you how long we were out there. It may have been an hour. It may have been 20 minutes. Either way, I had a ball, and I would definitely do this experience all over again. So, when our time was up, they gave us the signal. We swam back to the Zodiac, the best that we could, and headed back to the ship for lunch. After lunch, we had the opportunity to stop by the bridge and meet with the ship's crew of engineers. This was a really nice experience. The teacher in me was especially happy. I love engineering, math, and science, and I feel like so many of our students will do well if they just had the opportunity to see where their brilliance can be applied. And the way this travel game is going, cruising is not going anywhere anytime soon. This was my very first time in the bridge of a cruise ship, so it was really intriguing to see all the tools and all the resources that go in to navigating from point A to point B on a cruise ship. We were also able to see how the engineers on board go back to the traditional map and use their map navigational skills on a regular basis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
After our visit to the bridge, we were back on the water for round 3 of our activities for the day. That afternoon, we were greeted by the sea lions of South Plaza Island. Of course, our amazing tour guide Daniel was there to explain to us the conservation efforts for the giant prickly pear cactus as well as the yellow and red succulents that covered the entire island. This island had a lot of natural character. The hues of yellow, green, orange, red set against the volcanic rock right next to the water with the birds and the iguanas and the sea lions. It was a really surreal atmosphere. And like I shared in the beginning of the video, this is one of those moments where it's so easy to be present because it's so exciting to be there. After spending a little while on the island, we started heading back to the Zodiac to go back to the ship. We managed to see 2 birds mating on our way back to the Zodiac, and I could have gone my whole life without seeing that firsthand.
That's all you got?
After witnessing that wonderful performance, we got back on our Zodiac and headed straight back to the ship for a happy hour. Back on board, we had some delicious barbecue waiting for us, along with its choice between gin and tonic or vodka tonics. After dinner, I spent some time soaking in the hot tub, went to my room, and went straight to sleep. Listen, the first 3 days of this cruise owe me nothing. I experienced everything I could have possibly wanted to and more. Make sure you subscribe and stay tuned for part 2 of my experience in the Galápagos Islands.